welcome to Megan's Minute. I'm your host, Megan Lavin, the owner of the allergy recipe site, AllergyAwesomeness.com. Together with Allergic Living, we tackle topics that affect those who live with food allergies. This month's topic actually comes to us from a reader. I thought her question was so relatable to other allergy parents and has probably or will probably happen to all of us at one point. Let's read her question. My son, who is in 5th grade, had his EpiPens in his pocket. A teacher asked him, "What's that?" My son told the teacher what it was. The teacher then asked my son what he was allergic to. He responded, "Peanuts and tree nuts." The teacher replied, "Oh, that's such a bad allergy to have." End quote. She then went on to explain, my son's feelings were very hurt from that comment. I will be sending her an email about how my son felt and to please not say this to another allergy kid. Is there anything else, Megan, you would add to this teacher? Or would you rather just leave it alone? I feel so sad for my son. Oh, I feel so much for this reader. You know, having food allergies can be so tough, especially on kids who care about what others think of them in those developmental ages. My first question, though, would be, does your child have a 504 plan in place at their school? I'm assuming that whoever asked this wasn't the child's main teacher. I would hope that the child's main teacher is very aware of their food allergies, what an EpiPen is trained to administer the EpiPen, and therefore would not be asking those questions. If it was the child's main teacher and they do not know the above, please stop. Go look up my 504 video and watch that immediately. Otherwise, to answer the rest of her question, I think there is nothing wrong with emailing the teacher to let them know how it affected your son, as long as you do it from a calm and a kind, centered place. Wait to write that until you are no longer triggered and upset. I think we have to go into it realizing that it might not change that teacher. All we can do is be vulnerable and let people know how it affected us. But in the end, what they choose to do with that is really out of our control. It's good to just release any expectations before starting the process. I think the main thing we can control is how we teach our children to react and how we model that for them. You know, having food allergies can really help you gain a thick skin, which is actually a positive in my eyes, although sometimes it's a painful growing process. I also try to have grace and teach my kids grace for people who might not say the right thing, right? I mean, think about it. That's a pretty tall expectation to expect anyone who will ever meet your child to respond perfectly. I'm sure I've put my foot in my mouth many times, and just like I would hope people would be understanding for me and think to themselves, oh, she doesn't live with this, so she doesn't get it, that we would do the same. You know, I've had, when thinking about this, extended friends who have had kids with special needs, and they've been so generous on social media to advocate and to train and to share how to ask and respond and work with their kids. There were definitely things I didn't know, and I'm sure I had said the wrong thing before they were nice enough to teach and to share. Many people have never dealt with food allergies, or they have very little knowledge, and they just simply do not know, which is why educating and emailing might not hurt if you have the time and the emotional energy to do so. You've really got to see where you're at. I really don't think her comment seemed mean-spirited. It was just misguided, right? Not well worded. When working with your child, be sure to ask them questions after they tell you this story. Don't let your energy, whether sad or mad, seep through. Don't color their experience with your own expectations and parental viewpoint. Let them lead the discussion. And then when needed, validate their feelings. We don't ever want to just compound the situation, but instead help the child calm down. If the child feels like they can't trust you with these stories because you go on this emotional rampage afterwards, they're gonna stop sharing with you. So let's go over some phrases, saying things like, how did that feel? I'm sorry your feelings were hurt. I'm here for you. I love you. And things like, you can always tell me these stories. I'm always willing to listen. All those things are good for kids to hear after they've had a tough experience. I wouldn't try to talk your kid out of the experience. Teach them phrases and use that powerful word and. Two things can be true at the same time. You can say, I don't think the teacher meant anything mean, and it's okay if your feelings were still hurt. One doesn't cancel out the other. If the child is old enough, ask them what they'd like you to do about it. It's good to get them to solve the problem with you. Perhaps they do want you to talk to that teacher, or maybe they don't. Let them be in control, give them the leash that you can for how much their maturity has and what they can handle. When the child is calm and ready for feedback, which unfortunately usually isn't when it's very fresh, you can always revisit the topic and help them understand that the teacher probably didn't mean anything mean by it, and that people are sometimes just gonna get it wrong. You can even help make it kind of lighthearted and say, when we hear people say silly things about food allergies or uneducated things, let's share them with each other. Like, oh boy, I heard a doozy today. That one's going up on our family wall of fame. We'll have to laugh about that one later. Making it seem less powerful and seem kind of inconsequential might also help them just realize, oh, here's another person that doesn't know or get it. And trust me, I get it. My family certainly gets even an extra dose of this because we're not only a food allergy family, but a biracial family. And I get comments all the time when I'm out with my kids, where did you adopt those kids from? And you just kind of learn to roll your eyes and move on and not let it ruin your day. I think at the end of the day, most people don't like these type of comments because no one likes to feel pitied, and you don't like how you feel when you're so blindsided by it. So giving your child a statement they can use might also help them feel prepared for the next time that happens. They may be too young, and honestly, it could take them years for them to feel comfortable using the phrase and saying something in response, depending on their personality. But I do think it's good to arm them with it even so. So something even as simple as, you don't need to feel bad for me, I got this, would have helped the teacher probably change her tune right then and there. I also wanted to get an adult perspective, so I talked to Gwen Smith, the editor of Allergic Living, who is an adult living with food allergies, and I thought she had a great response for these situations I wanted to share with you guys. She says, quote, "The issue of people offering their how terribles and condolences will happen through life. You feel better once you realize that they don't really mean to make you feel bad. They just don't get it. I always have a comeback, like, you don't need to feel sorry for me. I know how to manage my allergies, and I don't take chances with food. I have a great life. I just can't eat some things and have to have my medicine handy," end quote. Way to handle it, Gwen. Always a good example. Taking that power back and feeling confident in your answer could really help you or your child feel ready to combat the, oh, woe is you comments, right? And as always, that little silver lining is that we learn empathy. I know there's been many times when my kids have seen children with different struggles and they want to say, oh, that poor kid. And then I have to remind them, do you like it when people say that about your food allergies? Do you like feeling different or pitied? Yes, that child may have, X, Y, or Z, but we can't assume anything. The perspective and the empathy that kids will learn from food allergies will serve them well beyond this one experience and actually become a beautiful byproduct, is my hope. Hang in there, allergy parents. Emotional situations like this come up, and it is hard for our parent heart to see our children hurt. But remember, kids are so resilient, and as you work on your own emotional health and your own emotional resiliency, the better you'll be ready to just set aside your own triggers and sit with the children in their pain and their triggers. If you have any questions that you also would like addressed, you feel like, hey, I've got a question too, feel free to send them over to me on social media. I hope this was helpful. Don't forget to watch previous Megan's Minutes that go over all sorts of social and emotional situations. We cover birthday parties, working with your child's school, your family, and so on. You can find all those videos on Allergic Living's website, their IGTV channel, and their YouTube. Take care until next time.